Viewers, my name is Eino Ankonga and welcome to our 5th lesson for the Geography Grade 9 lesson series from NANCOL, and our topic for today is contour maps. And here is your learning objective. Our aim with this session is to interpret contour maps and identify different slopes and landform from these contour maps. What is a contour? First, we are going to look at what a contour line means. A contour line is an imaginary line which connects places of equal height or the same height above sea level. Such lines are drawn on the plane of an area after establishing reduced level of several points in the area. The contour lines in an area are drawn keeping difference in height of between two consecutive line constant. Now, contour interval. A contour interval is a distance or a difference in height between consecutive contour lines. Now let's look at different types of slopes that we might have in contour maps. First, we have a steep slope. A steep slope is when two contour lines are closer or closely spaced together. When two contour lines are close to each other, that is our steep slope. Then we have a gentle slope, which is also known as a gradual slope, whereby two contour lines are spread further apart or are far from each other. Then we have our gentle slope. Then we have even slopes. Even slopes is when contour lines are apart, but they are not also too close to each other. There is an even distance between them. Then we have a concave slope. A concave slope is when contour lines are closer to each other at the top of the profile and they are far apart at the bottom of profile. In a map, you should look at contour lines closer to each other at bigger numbers, and those lines with smaller numbers are far from each other. That is our concave. While a convex is when contour lines at the top of the profile are far from each other and closer to each other at the bottom of the profile. What this means in a map is that when the lines that have got smaller numbers are far from each other, while those with bigger numbers are closer to each other, that is our convex slope. Then we have a terraced slope, whereby the contour lines are in pairs. Two lines closer to each other, and then there is a space, another two lines closer to each other, and then there is a space, another two lines closer to each other. That is our terraced slope. Now we are moving on to our typical landforms that we might find in contour maps. Our first landform is a conical hill, which is also known as a pointed hill. A conical hill is an approximately concentric closed contour with increasing values toward the center, indicated hills. Now, first of all, a conical hill in a map is indicated by contour lines that are in an oval shape or in circular motion, and the space, the inner space of the contour line is smaller to show that the value are increasing toward the center, to show a pointed hill as shown on the diagram. First, the contour lines must be in a circle, and then the space, the inner space between the contour line must be smaller. Then we move to our waterfall. When the contour lines are so close to each other that they are even touching each other, they form a waterfall. Then we have a valley. A valley is when it's formed. First we look at either a V shape or a U shape, in a map. Now, what do we do? The smaller numbers must be inside the V, and the bigger numbers must be outside the V. That is our valley. The smaller numbers should be inside and the bigger numbers should be outside. That is our valley. Then we have a spur. A spur, just like a valley, is also shown with either a V or a U shape. And remember, it must not be a straight V. A V can be in a form of a U shape. Now, the diagram that we have here, it's a perfect example. We can see there are two V shapes there. The first V, which is on the left, and then we have the second V where the spur is written, which is on the right. That is for the spur. Now, if we start with the first line up there, we see that is 880 meter. This 880 meter is the highest number, and then we can see that on the valley it is outside the V. While if we look at 800, which is the smallest height, 800 meter, on the valley we can see that it's inside the V there. But if you move along with that 800 and you go toward, as you're moving to the bend or to the V shape which is on the right, you can see that that 8 tend to be outside, that 800 tend to be outside the V, and the 880 will tend to be inside the V shape, forming our spur. So when the smaller numbers are inside the V shape, that is our valley, and when the bigger numbers are inside this V, that is the spur. So look at this diagram carefully. It is a perfect example of a valley and a spur. Then we have a saddle. A saddle, as shown there, it is just an area between two higher lands with a gap between them. So when there are two higher lands, then the gap between them, it's called a saddle. Or in other words, it's just a land between two mountains in a map. That is a saddle, that space. And now that we have come to the end of our lesson, let's look at the lesson summaries. We can identify the spur there in a form of a V shape pointing away from higher land. We can see the steep slopes there where the contours are close to each other. We can see the escarpment there. We can also see the cliff where the contours are almost close to each other. Then we can see the valley where the contours are in a V shape with a smaller numbers, which is 50 meter inside the V. Then we have a river which is drawn in there, obviously flowing toward lower land. Then we have a round hill there, which is in a concentric, in a circular space, but that circular space has a smaller inner space. Then we have our saddle there, which is a land between two higher land. And then if we look at this map here, we can see that our contour interval is 10 meter, because between every 2 meter there is a difference. Every two contour lines there is a difference of 10. Between every contour lines that are following each other, there is a difference of 10, and we say our contour interval is 10 meters. Thank you for your time. Until next time.